everyone, I'm Ayşegül Üstün and I'll be your host for our Invest in Turkey talks. In this series, we'll talk about Turkey's investment landscape and the latest developments from the field. I'll be joined by leading figures from the investment world, including entrepreneurs and investors themselves, and they'll be giving us their own outlook on what the ecosystem has to offer. I'm here with a venture capitalist, entrepreneur and company scaler, also the founder and managing partner of ScaleX Ventures, Dilek Dayınlarlı. Dilek, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ayşegül. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Dilek, let's start with how it all began. You completed your education abroad and then moved back to Turkey, worked in several positions in the corporate world and became angel investor in 2012. In fact, as far as I'm aware, your first entrepreneurship mission was selling jewelry to fund your MBA. Can you tell me about this, please?
So this is a rare occasion that I tell my story. So I'm an engineer, went to get my MBA in the US and I had to pay my tuition. I ended up doing jewelries. Why? Someone told me in US you would be able to sell Turkish jewelries because they are so beautiful and unique. Long story short, but I learned how to use e-commerce, online, internet. That time it was like way back ago. And I realized I want to be in tech no matter what because it was so vibrant. Everything was changing. I think it was going to change the world. And obviously it did. That was my biggest mission that I got along the way. And I went back to corporate life, worked at Accenture as a management consultant, Groupon as a director, which also taught me how to do business. And I saw from the best. And my luck, I ended up becoming a venture capitalist. It's the origin of the ScaleX Ventures is coming out of a problem that we wanted to solve, actually. Me and my co-founders, just to give you a sense, I was working in a venture capital firm. I started the angel investment, but that time I was going to Silicon Valley like every couple months and seeing how the big companies and successful companies are built and being mentored by the best. But at the same time, one of my co-founders, he was building his company in Ankara, a high-tech software company and selling all around the world, playing to be the category leader. And the other one was a COO at Peak Games. So what we wanted to do, we met amazing founders here, but their success were mostly capped by not accessing the global market or not having enough or good network or capital, obviously, capital scarce environment. We said, how come we can solve this? First, we started with bringing the Harvard professors, successful founders together, but it ended up to becoming a fund because that was the way we could help them with capital, network, bring the operators around them to help them along the journey. Also, how we look at it is today's generation is going to be next generation's mentor. That's why also we created a program called Founders Partner Program. We share 10% of our carry with our founders that we invested in. Why? Because we want them to help each other, like 20 companies going through the similar stuff so they can help and expand their impact area.
So how would you say these experiences have shaped your approach to scaling businesses and investing in startups? Do you think that working in corporate is a necessary step before entering entrepreneurship and the world of investment?
Definitely yes. Why? Because it takes a village to create a big company. So you need to learn a lot of things. You need to hire the best people. So how it happens, you can go into corporate life and learn from the best, but you have to be in the environment that people are the best that you can learn from. When young people come to me from panels at college or universities, I always tell them, the best thing that you can do, go to an early stage company that's scaling and work with the founders. That's where you can learn the most.
So for many of us and for our listeners, we assume that investment is linear and don't necessarily know the different stages that one goes through in the investment realm. You've been through the different stages, and I'm talking about entrepreneurship, corporate and investment. You invested in EasyCo and Insider while you were at 212 and subsequently then ventured into angel investment. How would you say that these different experiences affect your current decision-making as an investor?
Definitely a lot. Now it's becoming more easier for me to answer this question, actually. 20 months ago, we met with LLMs, large language models or ChatGPT. It became the fastest growing product out there. So why, as a human being, you ask a question and you get an answer so quickly. And hopefully, if it's not hallucinating, you get a good answer. As an investor, what I do, I try to get as much as information as possible and answer in the right way. So I'm trying to build up my LLM and improve it every single day. So why it helped me as to become a good investor? Because I've been working as an operator in corporate life, venture capitalist, angel investor, as an entrepreneur. So I got all those data and experience so I can improve my decision making at the end of the day. I think it creates a big impact.
Now let's get to ScaleX. Obviously you're a co-founder, and at the moment you currently have 19 startups in your portfolio and 5 that have already been acquired. And as of 2023, ScaleX became a 30 million euro fund, which is an amazing figure. So Dilek, you frequently describe yourself as a venturepreneur. Can you tell us exactly what you mean by this?
Actually, I was doing angel investment before founding ScaleX Ventures as a fund. And that time, I loved helping entrepreneurs. What I saw, I was going to Silicon Valley every couple months and learning from the best and being mentored by the best, who was like the first investor at Salesforce and so on. But what I saw when I came back, there were amazing founders, like incredible founders, but it was so hard or capped in a way. There were a couple of reasons why. They didn't know people who have done it before. So they had to go through and learn by themselves, which was like creating a lot of friction for them. And also they didn't have access to networks like for sales and talent, but also they didn't have capital. What I wanted to do, I wanted to really solve that problem. It's not just the capital. It's obviously capital, but you need to help people bringing that network and also bringing that know-how.
So I'm assuming that this has a lot to do with the creation of ScaleX.
Yes, definitely. I got crazy with this idea. Like, how can I enable Turkish entrepreneurs to go global? Because they had so much tremendous opportunity out there. Just instead of focusing on the local market. By the way, Turkey is an amazing country to test your product. So when I was doing angel investment or working in the previous company that I worked for, I saw amazing founders. And because I was traveling to Silicon Valley or London a lot and being mentored by the best people who invested at Salesforce, like the biggest software companies of this world, I realized even though Turkish founders has amazing talent, they were capped with the access to capital, network, or know-how. They didn't know that much people who have done it before. So I said, okay, this is a problem that I need to solve. How? Like, how can I give them more capital, more network to help them to go global? So that's how I built ScaleX Ventures and the fund around them, actually. Only focusing on high-tech founders and helping them for the go-to-market for the global growth. Also, I realized how you can do it is like you need to bring successful founders around the founders. I really believe they bring so much acceleration to the founders at the end of the day. That's why I bring like 5 unicorn founders literally sit next to our founders to help them to learn and grow, think strategically. At the end of the day, founder does everything they need to do, but how you can create a better environment for them.
Okay, so from what I understand, your previous experience has led you to being an investor who does not just invest and leave the startup to do well on its own, but you kind of take care of them to ensure that they're looked after in all their different spaces. So ScaleX currently has 19 startups in your portfolio and has become, as of 2023, a 30 million euro fund. I said that you have 19, but is there any news about 20 entering that portfolio?
Actually, we are just working on the 20th one. To give you a sense, it's like one of the most critical infrastructure component for AI companies. We are so bullish and excited. They did a breakthrough, so it's coming soon. But on the other side, we have been investing a lot of companies like cybersecurity, software, infrastructure, AI companies, robotics, and helping them to go global. But we also saw there are so many Turkish founders around the world who want to build their talent base in Turkey, which is bringing an amazing opportunity.
Now, that's great to hear, and obviously we're very aware of the deep talent pool that exists in Turkey, and I believe this is going to be an axis that is going to contribute to the country in the long term.
Ayşegül, definitely right. Our talent base is definitely our strongest side, even in Turkey or our diaspora all around the world. Here in Turkey, young, one of the fastest growing engineering base, but also if you go all around the world, more than 6.5 million people, highly educated and connecting us to the whole world as a market. And also success stories are popping up to becoming like role models.
And obviously during this podcast, we've spoken a lot about venture capitals and their environment in Turkey and how this has become a very vibrant ecosystem. And there's a lot more growing number of funds, and we're talking about a lot more investment coming into the country in general. Considering this, how do you perceive the growth of investment funds and corporate venture capital in Turkey? And do you think that the number of venture capitals will increase in the coming years?
So I know the days there were only one venture capital firm in this country, and then now it's almost 300 venture capital firms. If you look at the overall market, we are really early stage market at the moment. One of the fastest growing. I was in Berlin. Everybody was talking. This is one of the fastest growing ecosystem all over Europe. But we will need more capital at the follow-on round, obviously, in the following years, for sure. But this is a really good market to be in if you are an early-stage investor.
And how does this increasing number of venture capitals contribute to the development of the startup ecosystem in Turkey?
Capital is oxygen for startups. At the beginning of the company, you don't have cash or the profit to run your company. So you have to raise capital to build up and grow your company. So that's why it's really critical if you want to create high-scale companies.
Moving away from the startup and venture capital ecosystem, I want to talk a bit about technology. Obviously, we're now living in the age of technology and AI, and our conventional understanding of how we do things has changed. Some might say that this is exciting, for some it's scary, but it's a development that we all have to adapt to. What for you is the most exciting development in AI?
I think we are in a historical moment. Like everybody else, I'm in between, wow, this is horrible, to this is amazing side. Like amazing side, how the education and healthcare and so many other things can change. Or on the horrible side, we don't want to go to the details, but there are so many debates between people. But at the end of the day, as a technology, it's so exciting. Like before ChatGPT or LLMs came out, we would never imagine such a thing. But I think in the future, what's going to happen is service as a software. You want accountants who are going to solve the tax problem for you. You want end-to-end service. So there are going to be so many things happening. But obviously, as an investor, I love like AI applications, AI infrastructure companies who are going to provide infrastructure for those companies who want to serve the customers. But obviously, there are so many debates around foundational models, applications, and so on. So I think nobody knows, but we will see. Is it going to be like Cambrian explosion of so many companies popping up, or is it going to be the few who are managing the whole market? So I can say as a venture capitalist, I look for the developments day and night as much as I can. But my real job is finding the entrepreneur who's going to make a change.
So with this, obviously, there's been a lot of development in cybersecurity as well. The conventional understanding of security has changed, obviously due to the age that we live in. But how would you observe the latest trends in this field in Turkey and across the world?
In Turkey, we have really strong cybersecurity companies. One of the reasons I think the Turkish government is really strong and can be a really good customer to develop those products like we can see in other countries. But coming with the AI, everybody can be an attacker now. It became so easy. So you have to protect yourselves. I think next couple of years, there are going to be so many attacks we will hear, and we need companies who are going to protect us in cybersecurity. So attack vectors are going to grow. So we need more company to protect at the end of the day.
Now, moving on from cybersecurity and technology, obviously you're one of the leading female figures in the field. I'd like to describe you in that way, and I think it's fair to do so. How is it like being a female in this field in Turkey, and what would you say about female entrepreneurs in the country?
I always take this question to another perspective. So even as an entrepreneur, you always need people who have supported you or became a role model for you. Either it's female or male, to be honest. But for female figures, we have amazing role models in this country. Like Demet from Trendyol, Hande, when I invested her like 12 years ago, she's phenomenal. And these like 4 unicorn female founders becoming amazing role models for the next generation of founders.
As we know, Turkey is home to the most female-founded unicorns in Europe. In fact, the investment office had an event about this in Slush in Helsinki, where the 4 female founders were invited to talk about their success. And obviously being the highest in Europe is remarkable.
Definitely. And also we have another organization called ARIA. They are doing a phenomenal job at bringing female entrepreneurs and female investors to learn from each other and create a success together.
Brilliant, that's great to hear. Now on to our final question, Dilek. In general, how would you evaluate the investment environment in Turkey? And do you think there are areas that we need to focus more on to attract greater investment?
Day and night, I try to find amazing founders, and I was lucky to meet a couple of them, like Insider, EasyCo, Picus, Dataro, which became like successful companies in their categories. So opportunity is there. Before, I felt like Turkey had the mid-sized market problem, which is not big enough to create companies out of itself from day one, but not small enough to think global from day one. But lately, what I see that entrepreneurs are thinking more global and global every day. And whoever I talk to out of Turkey, Turkish entrepreneurs are operationally efficient. We have 1,000 company data set. Whenever you put that Turkish company's data in, you will do the best on the operational level. So it's like going global and also creating really operationally efficient companies. Plus, I think we are in an inflection point. Why? Just 10 years ago, we started to invest in this country and first success stories of the startups came out. Now, it's the spillover time. What it means, those founders are going to go out, invest their angel investments, help those founders to grow and create better companies. If you look at all the other ecosystems, you will see that those moments are like the inflection points where we are now, which are going to create more and more opportunities for us.
Thank you, Dilek, for joining us today and for these insights.
Thank you.
In today's episode with Dilek, we spoke about how her previous experiences in corporate allowed her to familiarise with the field of investment and how she decided to start a venture capital. Dilek told us about the future goals they have for ScaleX and how their portfolio has grown over the years. Describing herself as a venturepreneur, Dilek tells us how her entrepreneurship and venture capital side intersect. You can find our podcast on all streaming platforms, and for more updates and information, follow Invest in Turkey on social media. Stay tuned for more episodes where we'll be talking more about investment in Turkey.